The necessity of friction. Why hardship fuels human flourishing. Throughout history, human beings have sought comfort. We've built civilizations around the promise of easier lives, yet paradoxically, excessive comfort can lead to a weakening of the human spirit and deep dissatisfaction. This essay draws on neuroscience, psychology, evolutionary biology, and cultural history to explore a counterintuitive truth. The human brain evolved to thrive on challenges and problem-solving, much like a muscle strengthens with resistance. For millennia, our ancestors faced constant challenges that demanded creativity, resilience, and adaptation. Today's abundance creates a neurochemical mismatch between our evolved brains and our comfortable reality. Our brains crave engagement over idleness, purpose over pleasure, growth over stagnation. The concept of stress inoculation reveals how controlled exposure to challenges builds resilience. Just as physical stress strengthens the body, psychological stress, when manageable, strengthens the mind. Neuroscience shows us that the brain literally rewires itself in response to challenges, creating new neural pathways. This neuroplasticity is the biological foundation of human adaptability and growth. Throughout cultural history, wisdom traditions have recognized the value of hardship. From Stoic philosophy to Buddhist teachings, great thinkers understood that suffering, when approached correctly, leads to wisdom. History's most celebrated individuals often emerged from periods of intense struggle and hardship. They didn't succeed despite their struggles, but because of them. Modern abundance, while solving many historical problems, has created new challenges for human flourishing. When everything is easy, nothing feels meaningful. Comfort without challenge leads to stagnation, and stagnation breeds dissatisfaction. The brain literally atrophies when not regularly challenged, much like unused muscles weaken. So how do we, in our cushioned, climate-controlled existence, begin to consciously embrace friction? The most direct and primal path is through physical challenges. Our bodies, sculpted by millennia of struggle, are starved for genuine physical resistance. We can begin by reintroducing this through exercise, not just for health, but for the sake of the struggle itself. Think of the explosive effort of high-intensity training, a controlled burst of chaos that shocks the system out of complacency, or the slow, grinding perseverance of endurance sports, where the primary battle is fought against the voice in your head telling you to quit. The cold, hard iron of a barbell provides immediate, uncompromising feedback, a tangible metaphor for overcoming life's burdens. Beyond the gym, we can seek the unpredictable friction of the natural world. An arduous hike on a rugged trail demands constant adaptation in a way a treadmill never could. A more acute form is cold exposure. Plunging into icy water is a visceral shock. But by controlling our breath and calming our mind, we learn to master that primal panic, teaching our nervous system to withstand acute stress. These practices are not about self-punishment. They're about recalibration. The mental toughness forged in the final mile of a run or the final minute of a cold plunge doesn't stay there. This is cross-stressor adaptation. The resilience you build confronting physical hardship becomes a reservoir of strength for professional setbacks or emotional turmoil. You are fundamentally rewiring your brain's response to discomfort, teaching it that stress is a catalyst for growth, not a signal for retreat. Second, we must apply friction to our minds. In an age of passive consumption, we must actively seek cognitive resistance. This is mental stretching. Our brains, through neuroplasticity, are not fixed. They remodel themselves based on the demands we place upon them. To build a stronger mind, we must venture off the smooth, well-worn neural pathways of habit. Consider the friction of learning a difficult skill, like a new language or a musical instrument. The initial frustration, the mistakes, the slow progress. This struggle is not a sign of failure. It is the very engine of growth. With every correction, your brain is forging new connections. We can also tackle complex problems, engaging with the strategic depth of chess. Working through a mathematical proof, or even solving an intricate puzzle forces the mind to think systemically. This is the cognitive equivalent of a heavy lift. Perhaps the most vital form of mental friction is engaging with challenging ideas, reading books that contradict our worldview, or studying philosophies that question our assumptions. This discomfort is the antidote to the echo chamber. It forces us to clarify our own positions and cultivate intellectual humility. This same principle applies to creativity. True creativity is a wrestling match with the blank page or the empty canvas. The friction of finding the right word or the right color, of overcoming the inertia of an unformed idea, is what leads to genuine innovation. Third, we introduce friction through controlled deprivation. In a world of instant gratification, the act of saying no is a form of resistance. This is about creating intentional scarcity to recalibrate our desires and strengthen our willpower. A powerful example is fasting. By periodically abstaining from food, we confront a primal urge. We learn that hunger is a signal we can endure, not a command we must obey. This practice breaks the cycle of mindless consumption and profoundly enhances our appreciation for the food we eventually eat. A modern application is the digital detox. Intentionally disconnecting from our devices introduces the friction of boredom and the anxiety of being disconnected. But pushing through this discomfort allows our overstimulated minds to quiet down. It restores our ability to focus, to be present, and to engage in deeper thought. This principle extends to our material lives. Resisting an impulse purchase or decluttering our homes creates friction against consumerism, forcing us to distinguish between want and need. Psychologically, each act of delayed gratification is a workout for our prefrontal cortex, the seat of self-control. By occasionally choosing the path of less, we paradoxically gain more. More control, more appreciation, and more freedom. Fourth, we must embrace the friction of pursuing meaningful long-term goals. This is distinct from completing daily tasks. A meaningful goal is a large-scale endeavor, aligned with our values, that demands sustained effort and sacrifice. The friction here is not an acute challenge, but a chronic resistance against inertia, distraction, and self-doubt. The key to enduring this is a powerful intrinsic why. As Nietzsche suggested, a strong purpose allows us to bear almost any hardship. Whether it's starting a business, writing a novel, or earning an advanced degree, the journey is guaranteed to be fraught with obstacles. There will be failures, stagnation, and the temptation to choose an easier path. It is the deep meaning of the goal that provides the fuel to persist. While society celebrates the destination, the successful company, the published book, the real value lies in the friction of the journey. The process of working towards a difficult goal changes us. The daily discipline, the problem solving, the resilience learned from setbacks. This is where character is forged. The person who finishes the marathon is not the same person who started training. This stands in stark contrast to the fleeting pleasure of easy wins. By committing to a long, arduous path, we engage in a profound struggle with resistance, and in doing so, we build a life of substance and purpose. Finally, the most profound way to embrace friction is through service to others. This friction asks us to push against our most fundamental driver, self-interest. It requires us to subordinate our own comfort, time, and resources for the well-being of another or a community. At its core, service begins with the friction of empathy, the active, often uncomfortable effort to step outside our own experience and genuinely understand another's. It challenges our ego and confronts us with inconvenient realities. We can put this into practice through concrete acts. Volunteering our time at a shelter or hospital puts us face to face with needs greater than our own, demanding our energy and emotional presence. The difficult, unglamorous work of caregiving for a sick family member is a powerful, long-term form of service, a daily practice in patience and sacrifice. Even engaging in civic life, like organizing a community project, is a form of service. It requires navigating disagreements and investing personal effort for a collective good. This friction of putting others first leads to a durable form of fulfillment. By contributing to something larger than ourselves, we tap into a profound sense of purpose and connection. It is the ultimate paradox of friction. By pushing against the boundaries of our own ego, we expand our sense of self and find our place within the larger human story. The key insight is learning to reframe hardship as an opportunity for growth rather than something to avoid. Our brains are wired for survival, instinctively steering us toward comfort and away from pain. This primal avoidance is a powerful force. Yet, what if the very things we try to escape are the essential ingredients for a meaningful life? Psychologists call this post-traumatic growth. the profound positive change that can occur after adversity. Like a tree whose roots must dig deeper to withstand the winter winds, we too are shaped and strengthened by the storms we endure. The absence of challenge doesn't create peace, it creates fragility. The canyon is not carved by a gentle stream, but by the persistent force of a powerful river. Hardship is the force that carves out the depth of our character. With this understanding, every challenge becomes a chance to develop strength, wisdom, and resilience. Consider the butterfly. Its struggle to break free from the chrysalis is not a flaw in the process, it is the process. This very struggle forces fluid into its wings, giving them the strength needed for flight. Without it, the butterfly would remain grounded forever. This is how we build our own strength, not by wishing away the pressure, but by meeting it. This is how we forge resilience. Like a blacksmith tempering steel, life puts us through cycles of heat and pressure not to break us, but to make us stronger, more durable, and capable of withstanding future blows. And through this process, we gain a unique form of wisdom, an embodied knowledge that can only be earned through direct experience, teaching us about our limits and, more importantly, about our boundless capacity to overcome them. This perspective transforms our relationship with difficulty, shifting us from a state of victimhood to one of empowerment. The victim mindset asks, "Why is this happening to me?" It sees the obstacle as a dead end, a source of blame and helplessness. But the empowered mindset, echoed in the ancient wisdom of Stoicism, asks, "What can I do with this?" The Stoics taught that while we cannot control external events, we have absolute control over our response to them. The obstacle, in their view, is not in the way, the way. This internal shift is a conscious choice. It's the difference between being a passive passenger in your life and being the active pilot. It means trading emotional reaction for strategic action, seeing the chessboard of life not as a series of threats, but as a series of moves waiting to be made. You become the author of your own story, not a character in someone else's. When we understand that our brains are designed to thrive on challenge, we can approach difficulties with curiosity rather than fear. This isn't just a philosophical idea, it's rooted in biology. The principle of neuroplasticity shows that our brains physically change in response to new experiences. Challenges stimulate the growth of new neural pathways, making our minds more flexible and robust. Furthermore, overcoming a difficult task triggers a release of dopamine, a neurotransmitter that fuels motivation and reinforces the very behavior of tackling challenges. So, how do we cultivate this in practice? We start by acknowledging the fear, but then consciously reframe the situation. Instead of a problem, it's a puzzle. We break the puzzle down into smaller pieces. We ask questions. What new skill can I learn here? What hidden strength can I uncover? This curiosity transforms the intimidating mountain into a series of manageable steps. By embracing this process, we don't just survive hardship, we use it as fuel. We become alchemists of our own experience, turning the lead of adversity into the gold of our own becoming. We are sold an image of success as a placid, sun-drenched beach, a life devoid of difficulty, where happiness is a permanent state of being. But this is a fragile illusion. True flourishing, the deep and abiding satisfaction that the ancient Greeks called eudaimonia, is not found in the absence of challenge. It is forged in its very heart. It arises not from avoiding struggle, but from engaging with it meaningfully, from choosing to turn toward the resistance rather than away from it. Think of a master craftsperson. Their joy isn't in having a perfectly smooth, unblemished piece of wood to begin with. It's in the patient, skillful act of shaping it, of working with the grain, overcoming the knots and revealing the beauty hidden within the raw material. Our lives are that raw material. This engagement inevitably leaves its mark. We collect scars, physical, emotional, and psychological. Our culture often teaches us to hide these marks, to see them as signs of damage or failure. But this is a profound misunderstanding of their value. In reality, the scars of our struggles become the source of our strength. This isn't just a poetic sentiment. It's a documented psychological phenomenon known as post-traumatic growth. People who navigate profound adversity, illness, loss, failure, often report a renewed appreciation for life, deeper relationships, and a stronger sense of self. They don't just bounce back, they bounce forward. The Japanese art of kintsugi offers a powerful metaphor for this process. When a piece of pottery breaks, it is not discarded. Instead, the cracks are meticulously repaired with lacquer mixed with powdered gold. The lines of breakage are not hidden but highlighted, celebrated as a beautiful and integral part of the object's history. The piece is more resilient, more valuable, and more beautiful for having been broken. Our own golden joinery is the wisdom, compassion, and resilience we gain from mending our own fractures. So how does this transformation happen? What is the mechanism by which friction creates strength? The answer lies in the fundamental principles of adaptation and growth. On a neurological level, when we push ourselves to learn a new skill or understand a complex idea, we are actively rewiring our brains. This is neuroplasticity in action. The struggle to grasp a new concept or master a difficult movement forges new neural pathways, making our minds more flexible and powerful. This principle is called desirable difficulty in learning science. We retain information far better when our brains have to work to acquire it. This is also the essence of the flow state, a concept identified by psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi. Flow is that state of complete absorption where a challenge is perfectly matched to our skill level. It's in that zone of optimal friction, not too easy to be boring, not too hard to be overwhelming, that we do our best work, feel our most alive, and grow our capacities most effectively. By embracing friction, we are simply participating in this fundamental biological and psychological process. We align ourselves with our deepest nature as learning, adapting beings, and in doing so, we unlock our latent potential for growth. Choosing this path is a conscious act. It requires courage and a radical shift in perspective. It means cultivating what Stanford psychologist Carol Dweck calls a growth mindset, the core belief that our abilities are not fixed, but can be developed through dedication and hard work. A person with a growth mindset sees a challenge not as a threat, but as an opportunity to learn. They see failure not as a final verdict, but as crucial feedback on the path to mastery. This mindset is the compass for navigating the difficult terrain of a meaningful life. The path may not be easy. It will have steep ascents that test our endurance, dense thickets of confusion that demand our patience, and moments of doubt where turning back seems like the only sensible option. But it also has breathtaking vistas that are only visible from the heights we've climbed, and quiet clearings of profound self-knowledge. This journey, with all its inherent friction, is what builds true resilience, not a brittle shield against hardship, but a flexible, dynamic capacity to engage with it, learn from it, and continue moving forward. It is this journey that leads to a life of deep meaning, earned resilience, and authentic, unshakable satisfaction. Ultimately, this principle extends far beyond our individual lives. It is woven into the fabric of the cosmos. Friction is what allows a violin bow to sing against a string. It is the tectonic pressure that forges diamonds deep within the earth. It is the gravitational struggle in a nebula that ignites a star. It is the evolutionary pressure that has driven the breathtaking diversity of life on our planet. From the microscopic to the galactic, resistance is the engine of creation and complexity. To shy away from friction is to shy away from the fundamental creative force of the universe itself. It is to choose stagnation over evolution, comfort over creation. Therefore, the call to embrace struggle is a call to align ourselves with this universal law. It is a recognition of the profound truth that we are not meant for a life of ease. We are built for the climb. This, then, is the necessity of friction, not as a cosmic punishment or a flaw in the design of life, but as the elegant, indispensable, and powerful mechanism through which we are polished, strengthened, and ultimately become who we are truly meant to be.